bit quiet tonight. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
That's a little bit better. I kind of, like a little bit of, participation from the audience. My name is Tom, and I'm one of the penguin keepers here at Wingham Wildlife Park. So it's my job to come up here 5 days a week. I am allowed 2 days off. And kind of look after these guys as well as kind of feeding them, and also getting the opportunity to come and talk to you guys and get you to know penguins a little bit better, as well as introducing you to my little 14 penguins up here. Now, usually I would actually say 12 penguins, but for anybody that has been to the park in the last 8 weeks or so, we made a really big announcement that 2 of our penguins had babies. And that was about 8 weeks, nearly 9 weeks ago now. And we were kind of directing your attention over to the end box over here. Well, a little while ago we decided to come up here, and as I do every day, I kind of look at my penguins to make sure everybody's okay. And I happen to notice that a certain person that is in the water right now in front of us, which is this little one down here, didn't quite fit in with the rest of these guys, because what you'll notice is that he's a lot greyer than all the rest of them. That's because that penguin down there is one of our 8-week-old babies. Now his brother or sister, because we don't know what sex they are just yet, is currently just coming out of the box just here. Are you going to come out and join us? Okay.
That's perfectly on cue, isn't it?
Now those guys, as I said, are still really, really young. But that doesn't mean that they're not leaving Mum and Dad. They are getting more and more adventurous. And hopefully, within a little while, they will have completely left Mum and Dad. And they would have fledged. Now what fledging means is that they become independent. They start eating on their own, and they'll actually start to choose their own nest boxes instead of spending majority of their time winding up Mum and Dad. Now, saying that, we do have another fairly big announcement as well. And this one has only just started to be announced in the last few days. So you guys are the first group that I've spoken to about it, because I've been off for the last 2 days. And that was only a little while ago, another 2 of our penguins actually had eggs, and those eggs have actually hatched. So we are currently looking after another 2 couple-of-week-old baby penguins. And they are about yay big at the moment, and uberly ugly. Penguins, when they are born, are not the prettiest things in the entire universe. And those 2 are definitely not the exception to that. Now, the happy Mum and Dad to those 2 are Mumble and Pingu, and they are currently in this middle box just here. So not the best photo opportunity, but I do promise you that there are a couple of babies just in there. Now, these guys are Humboldt penguins, and you'll usually find these guys around kind of America area, so Chile and Peru. But unfortunately, my lot here weren't from anywhere quite as exotic. These guys were actually brought over from the Isle of Wight. So they're not quite South American penguins, but they did have a sea view, and they did have a really nice enclosure over there that they could kind of grow up in before coming over here. Now, if you do ever head over to the Isle of Wight Zoo, the mums and dads of these lot are still over there. So if you ever do head over there, please say hello from all of these guys over here. I'm not sure they miss their parents as much as you might like to think they do. But still, if you get the opportunity, say hello for them. Now, my first job in the morning is to quite meanly send my volunteers up here to basically clean the beach. And some of you are probably, what's the matter, kids? Are you just uberly hungry today? Okay. Okay. Just uberly hungry. Now, I get them to come up onto this beach and basically scrub under every rock, on all the kind of like around the houses, and all along this bit up here. Now, after they've done scrubbing, that's where my job basically kicks in, and I come up here and check the penguins. And then I get the opportunity to walk my penguins. Now, I'm not just talking about up and down the beach, because let's face it, walking them up and down the beach will probably get a bit boring, even though they are penguins. I actually take my penguins out of the enclosure. So what I do is I take them out the gate, where you guys are standing over there. I take them down the ramp, I take them around our picnic area, up past the walkway, which is just behind you, loop back round, up past the tigers, loop around and back onto the beach again. Now, for you or I, that's only a couple of minute walk. But when you have 12 very disobedient penguins, it can usually take about 20 minutes, half hour. Especially considering that two of my penguins are very curious about two other animals which are slightly near us. And that's Blade and Troy. Now, for anybody that doesn't know who Blade and Troy is, that's actually our two tigers. And as you can imagine, penguins being curious about tigers, and the tigers are very curious about the penguins, they probably shouldn't meet. So this way, walking along up here with my penguins is just a little bit of a pain in the neck sometimes, because these lot are a nightmare, they really are. Are you guys going in the water or not? Don't poke me if you want to go in the water. No? Well. Okay, ready? Mass jump in the water. Ready? Go. Well, let's try and help them in somehow. Oh, honey, look. Okay, have that one. Okay, you ready? Okay, ready? Go. Sometimes they need gentle persuasion, unfortunately. Now, as I said, these guys do come from South America, and a lot of people think that penguins only come from colder climates, but this is actually a really big misconception. There are 17 different species of penguin. The Humboldt is just one of those. Now, 4 of those species do come from the colder climates of Antarctica, but the rest of those 13 species do come from hotter climates. So these guys will do a lot of their breeding and kind of like land-based activities along what's known as the Atacama Desert, where temperatures can reach well over 30 degrees. So these guys are actually pretty much suited for the higher temperatures as well as those freezing waters as well. Hello, Mumble. What are you doing? Now, out in the wild, these guys would have anything from a couple of crustaceans to squid. They'd even take some anchovies and sardines out there. But over here, these guys are fairly fond of their sprats. In fact, a few of them, as you can see by their bellies, are even more kind of yeah, they're definitely like their sprats, don't you, Mumbles? Hey? You do have a little bit of a chubster about you, don't you? Hey? And more to the point, my little Palamede is also looking a bit chunky at the moment. I'll point him out in a minute. Hey? Have I forgotten about you two? Hey? Now, unfortunately for these guys, down in South America, it is a little bit of doom and gloom, unfortunately, because these guys are actually classed as vulnerable on what's known as the IUCN Red List. A little while ago, a census was taken of the individuals that were based out there, and it was actually estimated that there are less than 10,000 of these guys left out in the wild. Now, we'd all like £10,000 in the bank account, but if you start chipping away at that £10,000 on a weekly or monthly basis, and you don't have any more income coming in, that £10,000 will soon dwindle. Now, what I'm talking about is obviously these guys having the ability to breed and replenish their population. Now, unfortunately, we've done something to these guys, which is meaning that their population increase is getting lower and lower and lower. And this is where usually the talk takes a little bit of a downward turn, because for a couple of minutes, I am actually going to talk about penguin poo. Now, why am I going to talk about penguin poo? Because unfortunately, we've actually decided a little over 100 years ago that penguin poo made extraordinarily good fertiliser. And I don't just mean your run-of-the-mill animal fertiliser, its properties were really, really good. So we got it into our heads that it was okay to go down to the shorelines and basically chip off that kind of, that poo from the rocks, and we kept taking and taking and taking without actually realising that these guys need their poo for one very special reason. They will actually build their nest boxes, well they're nesting, I don't say boxes, but their nests primarily out of their own poo. So it has